I hope I hope parents will take away a lot from here and understand what autism is and how you can actually work over it and how you can take care of yourself as well while you're working with your autistic kids. So, before we begin, just a reminder, parents, please keep yourself on mute, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of our at the end when we finish with the session with Dr. Ashwini. If you have any questions, you can put them on the chat as well, and we can take it further after we finish the presentation. So, without taking much time of yours, I think I'll ask Dr. Ashwini to uh, go ahead and take it further from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and thank you everyone for being here, and thank you Star Walkers for this opportunity to talk about something I think we all inspire each other, and this is my opportunity to just share my journey, and I'm hoping to get inspired as well. So let me share my PPT. Is this visible?
Yes,
Is
it's
this
visible.
visible? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So it's visible as a presentation or just the slides? Now it's there. Yeah.
yes.
So so this is just about my journey from navigating the diagnosis to hope and advocacy. If I call it, it's been a cumulative experience of 16 plus 9, about 25 years, if I were to say, the talk about the experience, because Shaunak and Neva both brought a lot of perspective and different in their own way. So I hope this gives you clues and this helps you. This gives you hope. So without any this, let me start. I like Aisha already mentioned, I'm an OBGYN and with 17 plus years of experience. I own a nursing home and I'm very passionate about our neurodivergent girls who I love helping. More important than being a doctor, I'm a mother to two neurodivergent children. And like I say, I have a variety, a girl and a boy. So this journey is more about me, how it has changed me as being a parent than being a doctor. The talk is not just about my perspective as a doctor, but it is also about how the children have changed the journey from grief. There have been moments of grief. There have been moments when there has been, it's been overwhelming. But what also there has been is growth of me as a mom, as a parent, as well as a doctor. So let me just start. So what I'm hoping to give you, or I hope you gain from this, is my sharing my learnings as a doctor parent, my observations, having looked at autism not just as a parent, but from a doctor's perspective as well. Autism parenting is not linear. There are going to be highs, there are going to be lows, and I hope I can give you back that how I have managed the lows. I do believe that happiness is a choice. So therein, how I cope up with emotional overwhelm, how I have learned to take care of myself. I hope you take it with you that you're not alone in this journey. Because I'm a gynecologist and I'm also an expert in adolescence, I'll be sharing a few slides on puberty, what struggles our children may go through, and how we can cope up with that. So let me just start with how autism entered my life, our life. It started with Shaunak being 20 months old. And in spite of being a doctor, autism was a 2 mark short note in pediatrics, which was a 50 mark subject for me and which was option. So for me, autism didn't mean anything other than just 2 marks for me. And it was quite interesting how I did suspect Shaunak after seeing the red flags. He was speaking, but it wasn't relevant. He had two works. So typically, when a child is taken to a pediatrician, the pediatrician asks, "Is your child speaking or talking?" And the parents usually say yes. Like for example, Shaunak used to say bye bye, but it was never in reference or in context with saying bye bye to a person. So there is where I do feel pediatricians, whether it is the speech or the communication is relevant to the situation. He used to line up toys. He also had huge oromotor issues, mashed food only, used to vomit his entire meal. And my patient comes one day and says that my daughter, she is on the autism spectrum, and she says A for apple. And that is the only thing which Shaunak used to say, A is for apple. And that used to give me joy that, oh, he is speaking. But then I realized that this is not communication. And thanks to my patient, I started thinking about autism. And my sister is a psychologist. So we took him to the developmental pediatrician and we got the diagnosis of autism. I mean, I'm sure you all will uh, share how profound the diagnosis is. It's almost as if somebody's just pulled a blanket under your feet. And I started with why me? What did I do wrong? I was an obstetrician and I was a resident when I was pregnant. Did I not take care of myself? Did I put myself and my education first? And did I put my pregnancy on the secondary to my, and it was tremendous. It was crying every evening. And yet, maybe because I had a medical background, I started thinking that finally it made sense, right? Finally, I had something to know why Shaunak is not speaking, why he is not able to sleep throughout the night, why he is not able to eat food the way neurotypical children would. This was also a very tricky time for me professionally because me and my husband, we both wanted to do super specialization. We were these young doctors, raring to go and raring to build up on our biodata, on, building up on our specialization. It was a very hard decision for me to choose not to do my super specialization. And one of us had to. So my husband went on to do super specialization and we decided our roles. What helped me was a parent training, which I did. It not only just gave me an understanding of autism, it gave me a support group. It made me feel that I was not alone. There were people with me who were there, who were going through this. As a parent to parent, I can tell you that when we do receive a diagnosis, it is kind of a grieving process because it's a life altering situation which we all are facing. And we have to go through those stages of grief, whether it is denial, whether it is anger, eventually acceptance. So while this journey has been from grief to growth and mistakes to hope, so, what did help me was some of the books which I read. This is a list for all the parents who are new parents. These are good books written by a parent, Ellen Notbaum, and an occupational therapist. It Out of Sync is mainly for sensory processing disorders. This really helped me understand the importance of occupational therapy. I maybe because I was there and acceptance was coming in, and I did go through a lot of anger. I did no doctor hopping. I got the diagnosis. I started early intervention. We were very mindful of sticking to evidence-based therapies. Uh, we only started with occupational therapy for Shaunak. I used to judiciously take down notes. What the notes helped me was, and this is for the younger parents, to have a very structured this of what we are doing. When I used to write down on the paper that today Shaunak played with me for 5 minutes, and a month later he would play with me for 10 minutes, I was automatically charting my progress, his progress, and it gave me some hope that, we are on the right track. We need family support. I was fortunate enough that I had a great family support. My mother-in-law is a gynec. We have our own setup. So I did not have to actually give up working. What also helped me was working with the therapists as a team. So this was where planning a second child came in. Shaunak was communicating. We wanted a second child just because we wanted that child to have a different childhood than Shaunak had. Not because we wanted a neurotypical or this. We wanted that chance of a child having to go through that typical neurotypical environment because with Shaunak, we had a lot of running to do. We went to physiotherapists. He was in casts. Every week we used to take out his cast, and this was when he was barely 1.5 month old. So even before the actual therapy started, we were doing physiotherapy, we were doing everything. Now, how this is something, for those people who do want a second child, how we worked with Shaunak, many a times as a gynec, parents come with a pregnancy and with a history of the first child being on the spectrum. And it's very overwhelming for them because they're already into the second pregnancy, a little later part. And that's how it hits that, how my first child is still not sitting and, he loves to move and everything. So this is how we prepared Shaunak. So we ensured that his therapies were not interfered. We got a baby doll, and I used to pretend to put on diapers. We had a very clear boundary where we kept the baby, so that Shaunak would know that this is an area where I don't need to go. I can move around, but this is an area where the baby is going to be, and it's for the safety of the baby, because we can't blame our neurodivergent child for something which he can't help. So we were very particular. Not this, so the decision was not very, on a spur. We planned to have the second child in a way that we ensure that Shaunak's needs are looked after. He is not, his therapies are not cancelled for any reason. It was very well planned. We worked towards him sleeping separately. We kept his structure constant. What we couldn't, however, prepare was after what happened when Niva came in. Niva's diagnosis hit very hard. Let me show you this video, which will explain why it hit harder. Right? Right? Yes, हो. आणि फ्लाइंग किस आणि बम हलो अशी अशी कर अशी अशी कर पहा 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 काय ते छान नाचतीये ग. So that was Niva. And the reason why it hit harder, you can see that there was eye contact. You could see that she is following my instructions. She is connecting with me. She has words. And I couldn't believe it. Now, what also happened was I was in Shaunik's school and they were conducting an autism lecture. And me having lived autism for 6 years, I was on this that I know everything about autism. And one fine day, I decided that Niva is not on the spectrum. She's speaking, she's communicating, she has pretend play. But autism is not just delayed milestones, it is also loss of milestones. And this gave me a very, very important lesson that we can never stop learning. There is never that point where we know that, oh, we have evolved and we have we know everything about autism. No, it's discovering autism every single day. It's about knowing that, this means autism. And so that hit harder because this girl was connecting, and then one fine day she just ceased to connect. And now this was like I was a so-called experienced parent. I was left, I didn't know what to do because this girl had words. And yet she never, never, ever progressed the way, or she never was doing what Shaunak was. So, because there is a chance of siblings being on the spectrum, I knew the risk. I was vigilant. I was tracking her fine motor skills. I was tracking her sleep. And the thing what did happen was that the sleep was one which gave me a clue that she's probably on the spectrum, because she suddenly wouldn't sleep in the night. And sleep with Shaunak was really, really hard. We had a proper sleep hygiene schedule for him. We used to work with him, show him schedule, give him a long bath before sleeping. And yet this girl also stopped sleeping. And that was the first red flag for me. So she got a diagnosis of social communication deficit first, and then a diagnosis of autism. Now, why girls are so different? This is just a difference. These are my observations about how girls and boys are different. So my sun is Shaunak and my moon is Niva. So in Shaunak, there was always a delay in milestones. In Niva's case, there was loss of milestones. Eye contact was hardly there for Shaunak. With Niva, it was there. Language progression with Shaunak was, in fact, what we would say that if he would say bread, I would say give, and he would say give bread. And, it was like I had a proper charting done for him. And he actually progressed like tuck, 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 tuck. And this is where Starwalkers, thank you. I realized that Niva is a Gestalt language processor. And believe me, I was going to doctors every 6 monthly for everything, for Shaunak, for Niva. And yet, when I said that my daughter is communicating in nursery rhymes, I did not get the answer which explained why she was doing what she was doing. And I would say that, she looks out of the window when it's raining. She sings a Marathi nursery rhyme, Ye Re Re Pausa. And I was telling this, and somehow, nobody was able to explain to me. And this is where, I think it was profound because I didn't know what to do. With Shaunak, I had everything. Okay, this is what is needed. I'll do it and I'll get the results. Or I may get the results after 6 months or a year. But with Niva, I'm doing everything what I did with Shaunak, and yet I'm not getting any kind of language. This is when a close friend of mine talked to me about Gestalt language processor. And then, believe me, there was this ego thing, that, oh, I already know so much. I think even Shaunak was a Gestalt learner, he would also speak in Mickey Mouse intonations and everything. What is this? And then this is what I mean as a parent or even as a doctor. You cannot afford to say that you know it all, even as a therapist, even as an interventionist. There's always learning and there's always learning happening. So thank you, Star Walkers. Neva had a different set of sensory issues. Where Shaunak used to hate spicy food, hate mashed food, this girl loved food. Like she would eat spicy food. So where Shaunak was hypersensitive, Neva was hyposensitive. Shaunak would retch and feel nauseous on a swing. Neva loves movement. So even pretend play, though Shaunak never had a favorite toy. And this was one dreaded question. The therapist used to ask me, what is Shaunak's favorite toy? And I had no answer because he would never ever played with toys. And this girl used to, in fact, use a slice bread with a curve and use it as a phone and say hello, hello. So I was like, oh, wow, she's playing. There is one big difference between boys and girls, which is my observation, is that as far as emotions are concerned, girls are very, very, very emotional and they internalize. They remember things. So very often, husbands usually tell wives that, oh, you remember that from the past? How do you remember that? And Neva, to date, remembers any negative thing or any negative experience in her experience, whatever she's had. She'll remember that. She will analyze it and she will take it with her. So this set me on a very, I was walking around eggshells with her. This was a very, very trying time for us. Shaunak has huge auditory hypersensitivity. He wouldn't like Neva crying. Also, what we many a times miss out, what we think our children don't feel is emotions or empathy. In fact, I feel they are very, very, very strongly empathetic. Shaunak wouldn't like Neva crying. She would cry, he would scream. She would cry louder, he would cry louder. And imagine me and my husband trapped in this. We don't know what to do. And suddenly, this was when Eva was a baby. She would cry harder, and we would be like, Shauna, go to the other room. And he was also having a difficult time transitioning this very, very loud noise and crying. And especially when we would travel together. Imagine this happening in a plane. Imagine this happening in a bus. And our life changed because we couldn't do so many things. And it went on for 5 years. And there were so many things we tried, social stories, Shaunak and Neva playing together. And in fact, then what did happen was Neva got traumatized by Shaunak's shouting. So what she would do is when Shaunak would come when she's crying, Neva would lash out to the person sitting next to her. It would be biting, kicking, I mean, just using her hands, legs. And it left me so, I suffered so much because the moment she would start crying, the entire sequence of events which is going to come used to come and it was overwhelming. And I looked for answers and I couldn't find them. And yet, eventually, it happened. She was able to communicate. We were able to tell him what is happening. And I feel that we are now settling in. So this is about discovering autism every single day. This is in fact Neva's drawing. Uh, this is how she draws. We struggle every day. There are daily struggles now, and it's learning every single day. Like, for example, recently Shaunak had a school camp. I did not dare send him for the last 7 to 8 years. I asked him, would you like to go to the camp? He said no. He did not want to go. My therapists were like, we can't go against him. He said he doesn't want to go. We have a counselor. She said that no, let's try. Let's try it, because he wouldn't know what is expected. I prepared his schedule. He was accompanied by his sports teacher, everything. He had a fun time. And I told him that this once you go, and later on you can take a decision for you, and I will go by your this. If you don't want to go ever, you don't go ever, but you need to experience this. And for me as a parent, I was thinking, self-doubting, am I taking the right decision? Is it okay for him to be pushed? I thought to myself that he needs to survive without me later on. He needs to know what is it with what it means to be independent, taking care of your things, and what better place than a safe place as the school gives, with a less number of children in a very safe environment. So this was a hard decision, yet I took it. With Neva, we are actually still living it. We are not there. We are not there in a space where I can say that we have actually reached a level where we have discovered what it is about her. We are still in process. What has helped us as parents? We talk about our children and their rigidity. We talk about their inflexibility. Yet somewhere we have those expectations which are very rigid. We want them to do something. It's as simple as, like, for example, Neva and me in the washroom, and Neva not doing a certain way. And we keep thinking that this is because of autism. And if this goes away, maybe autism will become a little less. Every day as parents, it's about, living that autism diagnosis, whether it's in the washroom, whether it is in the market. So I feel that somewhere, we need to make our expectations very, very clear. We need to choose life skills over the first thing, as I would say, as a parent. That is, I feel, more important. One sec, I'll just go back to the, yeah. So, with Shaunak, what is happening is now we are exploring music, we are exploring drama, we are exploring sports sessions. This is very important for all my parents whose children are speaking, who are communicating. Please continue to work on higher order language. It is heart-wrenching to see our older children and parents say that now my child is speaking and I don't need to work on his speech any longer. Please don't. Work on inferencing, work on problem solving, work on those conversations which will work on those strategies which will help them in conversing, because it's not about them fitting into the world. It is about giving them the tools so that they don't feel less. Building self-esteem, self-care by talking about neurodivergence. So I remember how I introduced Shaunak to the autism word is, I told him that, Shaunak, you spoke a little late, and there's something called as autism. And I asked him, do you think Neva is on the autism spectrum? And he said, of course she is. So it was not a big deal for him. And we are working on his anxiety. We are counseling. We have a counselor who, he sees every day. I think we have given him a voice, and that's where I think have been successful. We are still working on his executive functioning skills, as simple as going to the restaurant, ordering food. Yeah, we because food has been such a negative experience for Shaunak. He never had that good relation which we have with food. So in everything has been an teaching thing. This is a starter, this is a main course, this is a dessert. These are the options which you can have. This is a live counter. So there are so many things which need to be taught even now. And it's not like because he is speaking and there are words that we have achieved everything. No, it's still work in progress. And it is, I mean, I'm sure you all understand, Shaunak's needs, Shaunak's goals are different, and Neva's are way different. So this is what we are planning for Neva. It's only about next 5 years. We are continuing her occupational therapy. We are using a lot of visuals. We have introduced emotions very early on for Neva. With Shaunak, maybe when he was 12, we started talking about how he's feeling and everything. But with Neva, it's now. Because we realized how important it is to identify emotions so that later on they can be worked on. Art is helping us. She is showing amazing. You saw that drawing. So in fact, the other day, the other day drew a diagram of a teacher of somebody scolding, and we realize that she is in fact communicating through her art. So we are very excited whether she is going to maybe communicate more through art. We are working on her pre-academics, her using her interests. She loves movement, so she has a sports session every day. Music. We are having more lived experiences because Neva is a gestalt cognitive processor also. So we go to the beach, we as simple as going to the lake and throwing stones. We are working on her awareness, which includes time, surrounding, and safety. We are also working on challenges because still the sleep is not constant. There are times when she wakes up in the morning and it's still tricky for us. Now, this is something which I want to share with you about what autism and my understanding of autism and how it has helped me, given me insights into meltdowns and overwhelming situations. There was an autism scientist lecture who I attended, and he shared something very, very interesting. That a neurotypical brain, your and my brain, is like a very well conducted orchestra, whereas an autistic brain, what he likened it to a band. Each part of the brain was, there was no sync there, and this is where I do believe that the processing differences happen, the information processing happen, and this is where the importance of OT comes, because I feel occupational therapy helps in coordinate a coordinated effort from all those parts of the brain. So whenever there is a behavior, I try to see where it is coming from. If there is a meltdown, I try to tell myself that they are having a hard time and they are not giving a hard time. This perspective really helps because at the end of the day, we are tired. We are physically tired and we are emotionally drained. Yet, if our child is having a meltdown, we are, it just adds on to our emotions. So I think that first thing, that they are not trying to give us a hard time, they are having a hard time, really helps. My theory of mind, what I feel the relevance for all of us is the safety part. Why do our children wander off? Why do our children do not have that safety thing? Because they don't know that your mom doesn't know that you are walking out of the house. As simple as this. So this is also important with Shaunak, because right now he is speaking. My entire day is spent in answering his questions because his world is that of chaos, whether it is the sensory structure, sensory inputs coming, whether it is his any kind of triggers coming. He and even Neva are, this is my theory, that they are living in a chaotic world and we are their anchor. We have to be there to help them ground. This is what I tell myself if I'm ever caught in a meltdown. I use visuals a lot. There was this time when Neva had a meltdown by a lake. Neva wanted to go swimming in the lake, and she was just going towards the lake. And I was so scared. I didn't know what to do, but I had my phone with me. I took Google app and we have that picture diagram. I drew a lake and I said that there are crocodiles in the lake. We can't swim. And that helped. So this is where, identifying where that meltdown is coming from. And it was not a tantrum. She really wanted to. She wouldn't understand why my mother is not allowing me to go to swim. So what I do for co-regulation, it is hard, but taking a deep breath, I also seek counseling, which helps me sort out my behaviors. So, by my thoughts, so that when I'm caught up in a meltdown, I take a deep breath. If I know that I can't be of any help to my child at that moment, I see that my child is safe and I walk out of the room or in a corner. I don't want to leave them feeling that they are alone in that meltdown. This really, really has helped with Neva. Neva used to typically get up in the morning at 3 a.m. and start crying. And she used to cry, not just cry, she used to lash out. And it is very demoralizing as a parent when your child hits you. You are their support. You want to support them unconditionally. And when they actually start hitting you back, it is very demoralizing. And it was a very difficult time because we couldn't figure out why she is crying. And not just crying, she is just fighting with all that she has. And this was a time where I almost lost it because I didn't know what to do. Couldn't sleep. I was working, my husband was working. Shaunak would get affected by her crying. The entire dynamics was changed. However, just having a pattern that she cries, I keep a blanket over her and I move out so that it doesn't, enter that phase of escalation. I told her that I'm there for you. I'm sitting in the corner. That's it. No talking, no excess auditory this because they are in that flight, fright, and fight mode. Any speech, anything is going to just trigger them. Give them time to settle down. And believe me or not, I think it happened because we had a Ganpati festival 1 month ago and she was really scared of everything. She had a blood test during that time also. So both these things kind of affected her. She would get up scared and she would just be have that expression where she was so scared. What I did was I wrote on a paper, blood test all done. I crumpled it and threw it in the finish box, threw it in the dustbin. Ganpati festival all done, all finished. And it actually gave her closure. So many a times when we talk about our children having meltdowns, and maybe the trigger seems to be the same one happening again and again, somewhere, especially for our girls, they need a closure. They need that they can move on now. It's okay to move on. So, co-regulating, you need to have a plan before it happens. You can, in fact, nowadays, what I have done is I think I can anticipate a meltdown. I know when it is likely to happen. And for example, when I told Shaunak that, you are going to go to the camp, I knew that he was going to actually have a meltdown. So I chose a day when I was not tired. I chose a day when I had all my visuals ready, everything ready. I was co-regulated. And then I told him that, Shaunak, you are going to go to the camp. And he had a huge meltdown. It could be even a tantrum because somewhere he was in control of everything what was happening. And what actually helps me with Shaunak when he is speaking is not talking and just writing it down. So I just jot it down. For Neva, just taking deep breath and telling her that I'm there for you. We are in this together. I'm not leaving you alone. She's a girl, so I know that that is exactly because I understand that, she wants support. If we don't give her that support, it is going to be tricky for her to come out of it. So with Shaunak, whereas on one hand, I actually write down things, I know you're feeling upset. We are going to do this because auditory is not going to help him, regulate himself. There are a lot of difficulties I feel come with, why certain behaviors happen. There are abstract, because many a times, for example, we say no, no. For our children, this came from Shaunak. It means that he will never get it. So as simple as saying a no to the toy, they just feel that, oh, it means I'm never ever going to get it. And imagine the emotions which they go through. So what little words, the language which I have started changing is not now, later, already. These words, actually have helped me with Shaunak. We already did that, so there is no need to say no. We can do that later. We can do it not now. So these things, this simple changing in the language and also what they call as declarative language, let's do this, or, we are in this together. And in fact, in Niba, I even suspected does she have pathological demand avoidance, which is a big term, but I thought that maybe, she has it, but the strategies don't change. The language or the way we approach that, would you like to do this? And an autistic adult told me this, that each question or each information you're giving, make it sound like it is their choice. Would you like to look out of the window? I know it's a question and we don't, but for Shaunak, it helps. Like, would you like to do this? Would you rather do this or rather do that? As simple as how anxiety can affect our children is, for example, in the washroom. Shaunak is in the early morning phase and he's in the washroom and he's just doing it. And if I were to ask him, did you finish? And you know that he didn't do something actually makes him more anxious, right? So I ask him, did you do it or you tried very well? So it's not no, right? So he says, I tried very well. So I said, good, then let's move out. So it's about how we approach in terms of language, in terms of making it sound like it's their choice, it's their decision, has actually helped me. With Shaunak, there has been a lot of issues with cause and effect. So Niva crying. We are so much into Niva crying, we are unable to think about the cause, which is actually very abstract for our children, very, very difficult. So this, in fact, was one something which helped me help him cope up with Niva's crying. That this happened cause and this was the effect. Or the teacher scolded the student. He doesn't like teachers using level 5 voice. He starts crying. Even now, he has a very difficult time if some teacher is to reprimand another student. Shaunak would be the first one to start crying. So we worked on cause and effect. And what would you do? So this was very abstract for him. So we use sticks, ice cream sticks, that this is the teacher, this is so and so boy, this is you. The teacher was scolding this boy. So what was going on in your thought bubble? In fact, thoughts is very abstract. So we used a huge laminated thought bubble to teach him what do you mean by thoughts. So this is where, it has also helped us in his counseling and cognitive behavior, what they say cognitive behavior therapies, which they use thoughts and feelings and how have a new thought. So the abstractness we have converted into concreteness as much as possible. Visualization, our children many a times might have difficulties visualizing, like we are going to a birthday party. They don't know what is happening going to happen there. They cannot visualize, they cannot know that what kind of sensory information or sensory overload, people, what am I going to get? And it's as simple as taking your hand and saying, come, let's go. You have no idea where you are going, so we have to help them visualize. That here is where, what I would love to talk about is visuals. Before that, what has helped us as parents is, if not us, then who? If we are not going to help our children, then who are going to help? Who all are will be there? Of course, we have therapists, but if we are not their first level of comfort, first level of contact, then who is going to be? Slowing down. I think from Shaunak's time, where I was a very, very anxious young mother, to Niva, I have just slowed down. Our children are going to be children a little longer, and there is no harm in that. Their milestones are going to be there. They may be delayed. It's all right. Structure, not just our children, it helps us. If we have a very clear structure, we wake up at 7 o'clock or 6:45 or 6 o'clock, we sleep at 10 o'clock, keeping that structure constant, having them, their structure gives us a lot of space to regulate ourselves. Silence. I nowadays I just keep my mouth shut. I let Niva do the speaking or communicating or whatever. Understanding the why. Why is this behavior happening? Why is Shaunak so anxious? Why is Niva lashing out at him? More important is evolving and learning all the time. Very, very important. Visuals, visuals, and visuals. Adapting the home environment. I'm going to come to this. Customizing social stories. Many a times we hear make a social story. Do you have a social story? So I make my own PPTs. I do my homework. If we are going to go to some birthday party, I kindly request the host to give me photos of their home, a schedule, everything, and I make a PPT. I give them options. If you are feeling out of place, if you feel anxious, we can do this, not just one option. So this is where parents, we can help our children by not just saying that if you feel anxious, you can drink water. We have to give them a choice. We have to give them multiple ideas what they can do. Outsourcing. I'm a working parent and I don't want to stop working. What has helped me is training people. For example, Niva's nanny or Shaunak's nanny, she has been here with us for 10 years. We have trained her. Please, let's do this activity. Can you do an obstacle course for her today? Can you do a rope ladder or, a choice, or let her play in the lycra swing? So we have outsourced to sports. We are calling people who come and engage with them. These are people who have worked with Shaunak, and we had the same people for Niva. So this was what my husband said, when we were planning a second one. What if Niva is also on the spectrum? He said we already have a team, to go to. So, what worries us, like all of us, we worry about what after us. We are hoping that by the time Shaunak and Neva go into adulthood, there will be more opportunities, there will be more. We are constantly researching, we are constantly working with other parents to have ideate, to think about what we can do. So, this is work in progress. This is very important, parents. How do we take care of ourselves? Autism is a journey. It's not that it's going to end tomorrow, it's going to end day after tomorrow. No, it's an entire journey. It's never going to go away. It's overwhelming, but we have to remind ourselves that our children are a part of our lives and not our entire life. So we have to give ourselves time to heal. We have to make time for ourselves. Otherwise, it's very difficult to be that anchor for our children, to be there as their support, because we are there for them and we are the only people they look up to, right? We are the first people they look to if they are having a hard time. Making time for each other, mainly your partner, respecting each other's roles. So there was a lot of bitterness I felt in the beginning that, my husband got to do his super specialization and I had to not, I couldn't do it. But yet, we have to respect those roles that, okay, I was good with children. I was the person who could understand Shaunak better. And I couldn't possibly leave the town and go out and do a super specialization. So Saurabh loves to bake. I am learning the guitar. We go out for movies, seeing that the children are looked after. We travel a lot, and very very important is a family support. We have both set of grandparents we travel with. We have to take care of ourselves. Mental health, I see a counselor every week. Also, somewhere, don't give up on your dreams as a professional. Do something so that you feel that you have never given up. Otherwise, you will always keep blaming your children, right? That I had to do this because of this. So somewhere, you can find your niche. For example, a very good friend of mine, she was an anesthesiologist working in a very big corporate hospital, gave it up, and we talked about it. I told her, why don't you start freelancing? And now she gives anesthesia to my husband's cases. So she has a lot of free time to work with her child as well as she's working. So, together we can find out ways. That is, why you should work in some way or the other, because it's important for your health. uh, Finally, you're not alone. You have to find your tribe. So these are a group of parents so on one side are parents who are all mums to autism, children on the autism spectrum. On the other side are mums who are actually, a friend has a child who has cerebral palsy, one has a global developmental delay. So it need not be only restricted to children on the spectrum. This is something which I always feel that, when we have autism as a diagnosis, somewhere, we feel, oh, we are, in the higher in the hierarchy, then Down syndrome. No, it's just a beautiful world. And it's like Shaunak's, so my friend has a Down's child and he is so social and he goes, Shaunak Bhaiya, Ajao, So it's very beautiful. So you have to find your tribe. We move out. We have not met in the last 6 months, but looking forward to meet again. We celebrate with our tribe. We celebrate for our tribe. So this is a run for autism. We do runs together. We have birthday parties. We don't wait for other people to invite us. We make our own birthday parties. Uh, Family support is very important. So this is something, I'm sure you all have heard about that finding Holland, landing in Holland thing that I was supposed to go to Italy, yet I landed in Holland. And somehow that doesn't resonate very well with autism parenting because it somehow pulls down our struggles. It's just a change of place. No, it's a person you are talking about. You are talking about a family who's going through so much. So this is, my barn having burnt down. I can now see the moon. This is a Japanese haiku, which actually resonated more with me because you have to live through that grief. You have to live through that pain to see the beauty of autism. And so this is a photo on the top of the mountain. And believe me or not, it was a difficult journey because Niva was crying in that open jeep, and Shaunak was, "What happened, Mama? What happened?" Niva is crying harder, and she's trying to kick him in that open jeep, and we are on the mountain, and yet we gave a smile to the photo, and we settled down because it was such a beautiful view. So it's about going through that pain, grieving, and yet finding beauty. So, what have my children taught me is empathy, respecting differences, all kinds. I'm a better human being, I feel. I'm a better professional. As a doctor, I was like, oh, no, no patients in labor. My patients are like, oh, come on, you can do it. Everybody does it. No, I'm less judgmental. I understand. I empathize. I'm more resilient because at the end of in the beginning of the day you feel you're raring to go, and then you have two three meltdowns of both the children happening, and you are low, you don't know what to do, and then you wake up the next morning again with that same spirit that it's all right, I'm going to try and face it better than what I did yesterday. So it's about resilience, it's about working harder. Like I quite joke with my husband. We were classmates, and he was a backbencher, never studied and all that. And now he works and works and works because we have that something, in us that we have to work harder for our children. And there is no stop, there's no full stop to learning. We keep learning. There's unconditional love, there's humor. So this is very important because we laugh, and there are moments when you actually laugh loudly. Oh, this is what it means, and this is what happened yesterday, that is what Shaunak was thinking, and we have a laugh together. Importance of patience and slowing down, like it's all right. Unlike the neurotypical children, we don't have boards, we don't have NEET, we don't have postgraduate courses to think about. Maybe we just have an NIOS board exam, which is also we can do it in 5 years if we want to do it. So it's okay, we are slowing down. Very, very important. We have to take care of our mental health. And also, it's okay to ask for help. You're not alone. Just pick up your phone, call another parent. When we talk about the incidence of autism, we say, oh, it was 150, 1 in 150, now it's 1 in 50, now it's 1 in 30. Remember, it also means that there is one in every 30 families who is there out to support you, who's there struggling, having the same struggles as you. So you're not alone. This is about neurodivergence, puberty, growing up. We have to trust our children to learn, especially our girls. We have to start modeling feelings. For girls, we have to start watching out for signs of puberty because then you have 2 years to work on your potty training. You have 2 years on working on those fine motor skills. We have to watch out for precocious puberty. What is precocious puberty? When our children start growing faster, way before time, way before it is natural time. For example, at 5 years of age, if a girl is having hair in the private parts, if our boys start developing hair in the private parts before the age of 9, the hormones, the stress, the transitions, everything is going to double. Our anxiety is going to double. So let's watch out for those signs of precocious puberty. We have to start educating ourselves using visuals. We can't use visuals. Oh, today I will start visuals. I'll tell him how what it is about growing up when we have never done it before. Because even for we have to give our children time to adjust to those visuals, right? The three P's, teaching them private act, private part, and private places. This is an answer to all the behaviors which we are worried about. Our children touching themselves in private, our children doing this. We have to differentiate between self stimulatory behaviors and masturbation. touching oneself, young girls, is not masturbation. So there's no need to sexualize it. So we have to identify between their sensory needs giving rise to self stimulation and it happening as a release for sexual pleasure. So these are two things, circle of trust. There was another parent the other day saying that my child just goes and hugs, strangers in the garden. What do I do? So, circle of trust. Our children need to know. See, this is again very abstract. You can touch auntie, you cannot touch that auntie, you can touch that uncle, but not that uncle. This is all very vague for our children. So, teaching them circle of trust. What I did with my children, with Neva, I'm still yet to categorize, but with Shaunak, I have given labels: blue people, yellow people, red people, orange people, and P is for private, P is for purple. I have put purple colors on the places where he can change his clothes, touch himself, or do his private activities. But yellow people are acquaintances. You can only say hi. Red people is family. You can side hug them. Orange people are your helpers, your therapists. You can give them a fist bump. Very clear demarcation. And how I did was with Neva, what I'm planning to do is just do sorting. Photos and blue people are strangers for us. You can change the colors for yourself. You can customize it. And blue people are strangers. So the color blue is stranger. So that dog is blue dog. We don't know his name. So we can't touch it. So again, safety also, it also helps in safety. Personal space. Shaunak doesn't know, sometimes he goes too close to the children. We want the world to accept them fine, but we also want to keep them safe. We do not want them to fall into situations where they are misinterpreted. Their actions are misinterpreted. So I have taught him personal space. How we did was, again, it's very abstract. Personal space. How close is personal space? So we used a hula hoop, or we use a one hand distance. So this is the distance where you can go. So this is also where we worked on social stories using these strategies. uh, what's it? For our girls, transitions are very tricky. A huge transition with in terms of menstruation is going to happen. Our girls find premenstrual syndrome more. Lot of behaviors happening around that cycle. We have to trust them to learn, even if they are non-speaking. We have to help them with communication. Something which happens is non-therapeutic hysterectomy. It's an answer sometimes parents ask me for, that can we just uh, you know take the uterus out to help them with their menstrual hygiene. That is not the answer, because a hysterectomy doesn't prevent abuse, and that is very, very important. There are other ways to delay menses. There are other ways to regularize cycle. There are so many things we can use to help them with the menstrual hygiene. But a removal of the uterus is not an answer to just because the caregivers cannot help the child, help the girl with menstrual hygiene. So we have to trust our girls to learn their menstrual hygiene. We have to know the rights of our girls. This is some examples of the visuals which I use. During Shaunik's time, sources were limited, finances were not that great, and we used very simple visuals. With Shaunak, I used a small white notebook and I used to draw in it. Blue color was for what is going to happen. Black color was for past recall. Red was for rules. We are going to the garden. Let's hold hands. Let's not run towards so and so. We can say hi. So this is how I use in a very plain notebook. So we don't need to get very overwhelmed with visuals. We can, as simple as in a white notebook, just draw that this is going to happen. Now we have smartphones, we have phones, we can, even use the Google Keep and everything to draw, the schedule. So with Neva, we were better placed. So this is a wall which I made. So on the top, if you can see, there is a descriptor board. So this is for Shaunik's language, enhancing his language. So let's talk about your aunt. How is she? What is your relationship? So teaching him that higher order language. For him, the schedule is very simple. He can write it down. For Neva, on the other hand, we have stuck visuals for her so that she knows how to just do the finish thing. We have also used a laminated thought bubble, like I mentioned, to teach what do you mean by thoughts. We are using candy sticks. This is something social thinking, methodologies which they say. In fact, I have used small candy sticks with tiny thought bubbles stuck on that to help Shaunak visualize what was happening in that situation and what could he have rather done to avoid the escalation. This is again on the left. This is a OT room with Shaunak. I had a 30 rupees tire, which I used in multiple ways for swing. By the time Niva came and we had two children, we decided that we needed a occupational therapy room. So, and this was COVID time. So and Niva didn't get to explore an occupational therapy setup. So the rock wall and, a aerial obstacle course. So somewhere I do think this was my way of coping with the diagnosis, that I went on and bought everything. But again, this was a better time than Shaunak's time. This is an emotional wheel which we use. These are core vocabulary for Niva. This is low-tech Avaz, which I have used here. On the right are different games, and I welcome my friends who stay close by to come and use the room to use the resources. That's it from me. So I just want to say that autism is learning every day. Autism is living it every day. Let's not get overwhelmed. There's support available. There are a lot of new things happening. There is hope for the future because 10 years ago, people didn't know that there were good assisted living. Now there are many more coming. There are different ideas and models which are coming for living. Like I remember I asked my doctor that how can I teach Shaunak independence, without me before he actually lives independently. And she said that there are, like in US and in Europe, there are actually villages where you can go and help your children stay there for 1 month, where they are assisted to live through the entire what after us situation. So I'm hoping that it comes to India. If not, let's come together and build something like that for our children. So, let's work together as a team and as a community. And that is my take home message. I hope I have helped you all, and I would be open for any questions.